we're here in studio with Paul Bologna, who is our assemblyman in the 144th Assembly District, which includes parts of Erie and Niagara County. We have on the phone with us Phil Nanula, who is the president and CEO of Essex Homes of Western New York, an excellent home builder, built my house a few years ago. We're talking about the energy situation in the state of New York and the mandate that takes effect January 1st, 2026, that all brand new construction that is 7 stories or less must be all electric. So every single family home that is to be built after January 1st, 2026, as of today, must be electric. We will have Congressman Nick Langworthy on the phone with us in a little bit. Congressman Langworthy is at a coaches meeting for his 11-year-old daughter. Part of what he does, there was a big celebration for Nick last night. He won the Jack Kemp Award to a packed house. So we'll be having him on with us in a little bit and talk about how he feels about this situation and what he is actually doing about it. But getting back to you, Phil, so a lawsuit was brought by the Builders Association, but at this point in time, that lawsuit, where is it exactly?
Well, as I stated, we filed the appeal, and we are working towards, and I don't know the legal process for this, Ralph, you could probably add to this, how we would initiate a stay.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to tell you is that the attorneys that represented Berkeley, California, in won, both initially and then it was appealed and they won the appeal, are the attorneys that our state employed to do this lawsuit.
Oh, wow. So they had the knowledge of this whole issue.
Exactly.
Well, that's
so we're hoping to get that stay, and I don't know if you can expound on the process that takes, but what we really are hoping for is that this initiative gets paused. It's really what's needed. It's really what's going to happen, whether it's done proactively or reactively.
Well, there are a number.
If I was the governor, I would do it proactively.
There are a number of Democrats that are siding with Republicans, that understand that their districts don't want this. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I know Bill Conrad is leading some charge locally.
Right.
I don't know who else across the state is joining, but I know there's other joining. She actually referred to that, the governor, in her comments yesterday in Rochester. So she is aware of that communication. Paul, I believe it's from assemblymen, Democratic assemblymen across the state. I don't know how many people have actually signed on.
Yeah, so he's trying to get a number of people to sign on. And I've talked to Bill about this at length. And Bill definitely is on the right side of this. And again, look, as a Republican, a lot of times we'll say, look, we want Democrats, moderate Democrats, to reach across the aisle and work with us. And I'm looking at the list that they have right now. There's 9 Assembly Democrats, and the list that he has here is actually very reasonable people on the other side. And in all fairness, I mean, I want to give them credit, because when we say that we want to have them extend an olive branch and work with us, we need to give them credit when they do that. So I do want to give Bill credit, but this is what scares me about this. The fact that only 9 Assembly Democrats are willing to sign on to this shows you where the Democratic Party is philosophically today in New York State.
So let's put this into perspective. First of all, how many assemblymen are there?
There's 150 members of the New York State Assembly.
How many Democrats?
Right now, well, there's a special election, over 100.
Over 100.
Over 100.
And 9, correct. Only 9
correct.
Of those 100 are what we would call
moderate. Correct.
Oh, my God.
Correct. And it's a scary place to be, because it's really the tail wagging the dog. I mean, you have a very, very fringe left group of Democrats running the state, because and again, I want to give my moderate Democrat colleagues credit here, because what they are doing is taking a political risk. They are taking a political risk of upsetting their base, and so in opening themselves up to potential primaries. So I want to give them credit.
Paul, can I ask you to clarify something?
Yeah.
When you said there's 9 that have signed on, and that only 9 are conservative Democrats, can I ask you to clarify the fact that maybe there's more than that, but they're afraid to sign on to the letter because of retribution, but they may be communicating their comments directly to the governor's office?
Yes, that is very possible. That is very possible. But I mean, again, until they do something publicly, what they're doing, to at least in my mind, is the equivalent of being in the back seat of an Uber that is driving off of a cliff and politely asking the driver to slow down. I mean, you're driving off a cliff here. You need to make some real noise in the back seat.
All right, Paul, Phil, we now have Congressman Langworthy with us. So the congressman was, as I said, last night we had the Capitol Affair. It is a dinner party that the Republican Party in Erie County puts on a yearly basis. Last night, I've been to many of these. Last night was the most well-attended, and the honoree of that event was our own Congressman Nick Langworthy. Now, I've known Nick for a number of years. He was 9 years the Erie County chairman. We worked together through those 9 years. Then he became the New York State chairman, and then he became a congressman. We supported him. The Conservative Party supported him throughout all of these issues. And Nick has just done a great, great, great deal for Western New York. So, Nick, I appreciate that you're here with us. Tell us about this situation, about the craziness of New York State with regard to this bill.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I really appreciate you being there last night. And it was a special evening, and a lot of what I've been able to accomplish would not have been able to be done without your support along the way, and your friendship has meant the world. This battle that we are facing right now as New Yorkers is one of the reasons I ran for Congress, because we need federal help to get around a state problem. And the Green New Deal is a concept. It's a pipe dream in Washington, and we're dismantling all of the progress plank by plank that they made nationally in those Biden years right now under the leadership of President Trump and Republicans in Congress. But the reality is the Green New Deal is in law in New York, and we need federal preemption in order to try to stop this. And we're up against the clock. Obviously, the Schumer shutdown is slowing us down because it's created gridlock in Washington. But I introduced, and I think I talked about it a little bit last week when I was on the show, my bill, the Energy Choice Act. The Energy Choice Act is a 2-page bill. It's pretty simple, and it just says that a state or locality shall not have the ability to ban safe and legal forms of energy based on source. And that is a bill that's been well-researched. We constructed it with the leadership of the Energy and Commerce Committee that I'm proud to serve on. And this would do a lot of good for us here in New York, because it would stop Hochul's electrification mandate dead in its tracks. So we are developing great progress on this bill. There's huge awareness across our conference. We are up to 112 co-sponsors of the bill, which is really unheard of for something that is a problem for just a handful of states at this point. You look at New York, California, Washington State. Those are the keys, but Illinois is eyeing a lot of electrification mandates as well. Those blue states, but there's a lot of population in those blue states. But this all boils down to the fact this is interstate commerce. Energy is not segmented by state boundaries. Much of our energy is created by transmission lines that come in from foreign countries in Canada, come in from Pennsylvania, pipelines that we drastically need in New York so that we can bring energy harnessed in Pennsylvania up into the New England states. We can't have these blue states become islands with policy that interrupts the free flow of the country. So this is a fight that, why I wanted to be on the Energy and Commerce Committee, why I wanted that seat at the table. I'm very fortunate to, basically be the leader on energy issues in the Republican conference in New York. I'm the only member of the committee, and I'm the first member of the committee since 2018 was the last time we had a seat at this table as New Yorkers. And, I think that gap, made us pay a price because there really wasn't anyone bringing New York issues to the committee on a monthly basis like I'm able to do now.
So, Nick, Paul Bologna is here, and he has told me that he is also putting forth a bill. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I actually have. So while Nick's bill is ultimately what we're going to need to get us over and save us here.
For me, that's what needs to happen. And I got to believe, Nick said it's a simple 2-page bill, but I got to believe it's something that most congressmen would look at and say, oh my God, this is more than reasonable. Why would anybody object to... Not
Tim Kennedy. And I don't want to put the congressman on the spot, but I'll defend his bill. It was ridiculous to me when I heard Congressman Tim Kennedy's comments on the fact that he was saying that he made some comment about it does anything but preserve choice, and that is wholly unacceptable. And I'm pretty sure that the good congressman did not read the bill because. The thing that the Congressman Langworthy has been talking about since the beginning is preserving energy choice, affordable energy for especially us here in Western New York. So,
as Nick said, this is one of the reasons Nick's in the position he's in. Mm-hmm. He's always been a vocal voice for these types of things and champion. So, but you have a similar bill.
Yeah. So my bill would allow municipalities to opt out of the electrification mandate. So that's one bill that I have in the New York State Energy Choice Act. And then the additional bill that I have would be a moratorium on the entire electrification just for Western New York. So it opts out Western New York out of the entire CLCPA.
But if Nick's bill is successful, and I understand the time frame now is more difficult because of the shutdown, but if Nick's bill is successful, it essentially kills Kathy Hochul's law.
Correct, which is why we need it so badly.
So, Nick...
Yeah, and listen, I'll comment on, some of the comments by my colleague this week. I mean, it's a pretty simple bill. It only takes about a minute and a half to read it if you go slow. So, I hope you can study it. And, basically, I think this is a case of a Democratic congressman that was put on the spot. Now, in his case, he voted for this in Albany. He voted to bring in the CLCPA in the Senate. He voted to deliver this electrification mandate onto the people of Western New York. So, there's tremendous pressure on these Democrats to live up to this Green New Deal religion that is in that radical base of the Democrat Party. This is one of their new things that they have to be pure on. And it's absolutely asinine because this is a life and death matter for the people of Western New York.
And that's exactly right.
Climate,
this is a life and death matter.
Life and death. I mean, we all have very fresh in our memories Winter Storm Elliott. It is, I don't quite have the longevity that Chairman Larigo has, so I don't remember the blizzard of 77, neither does Paul. But it was the most desperate situation I've ever lived through. I mean, for the first time, I really was concerned about whether or not I could take care of my family. When you hear things like 911 is collapsed, like there's no help coming. I mean, the idea that we're going to cut off natural gas to a climate like we live in here, where we do get harsh storms. It's not new. It's not an evolving situation. We get blizzards. We get snowstorms that are desperate. And we lost 69 people in that storm. And that electrification mandate would explode that number in a similar situation if it's unfortunate enough to happen again. I told Kathy Hochul this to her face. She just kind of nervously made some noises, but it's not sinking in. And she lived in Hamburg, New York, a place that gets hellish amounts of lake effect snow. So I'm not sure what logic, other than pandering to these climate activists that are mostly clustered in New York City.
It's clearly pandering. It's clearly pandering.
Terrible pandering.
Phil, you've heard what Nick has proposed, and, it's a great bill. Obviously, if he's able to be successful in that, that will change everything for you. Do you have any questions of the congressman?
Well, we've been in contact for quite some time on this, and first of all, congratulations, Congressman, on your recent recognition. That's well-deserved. I was privileged to host his press conference with about 15 other home builders in Lancaster when he announced the ban bill. And, it's our industry and locally and at New York State level has recognized the congressman's efforts here, and we greatly appreciate it, and we definitely need it.
Well, what our congressman has done is the bread and butter issues that most constituents, are involved with. This is certainly one of those bread and butter issues that Congressman Langworthy is championing and, needs to, go forth. This is, with his background, he knows what these issues are. He knows he's in touch with these people, and I applaud him also for being able to put this bill through. But we've got to get some kind of passage, and with the government shutdown, that's going to be much more difficult on his end. So, Nick, what do you think in terms of a time frame?
Well, we've got to see when they knuckle under. I mean, this shutdown has dragged on now. I mean, I think we're coming up on 25 days. I mean, and zero has been accomplished. We are not going to knuckle under and be extorted by Chuck Schumer. I mean, extortion is a crime, not a negotiation tactic. They want us to reintroduce $1.5 trillion in spending to reopen the government. I mean, we have made so much progress this year through our efforts in budget reconciliation, getting the country back on the right trajectory. And we will have a moment when the government reopens because, real pain is going to start to be faced by constituents here in the next week in particular. As you see SNAP and WIC run out of money, people are going to start paying a much higher price. I mean, thank God President Trump found the money to keep our troops paid for one pay period. We don't know if it can happen a second pay period, but, I'm sure they're working on it and trying to move money around within various accounts to do that. We have the full support of the Energy and Commerce Committee. At our next markup, whenever that is, this bill will be on that agenda. Like I told you before, we have 112 co-sponsors. That's going up every single week. I mean, my staff and I are talking to members across the Congress, anyone that's not embraced it yet. We're getting them signed up. We're talking about the virtues of this and how we need to kill ideas like this in states like New York so they don't get contagious around the country. And that's critically important for the trajectory of the country. But
Nick Rascugino here. Is your bill going to require 60 votes in the Senate?
Well, I think the American publics realize that everything outside of budget reconciliation does require 60 votes, other than judicial confirmations. So yes, it will. So Senator Schumer. So what we have done to try to set the agenda for this, we're reaching out to municipalities, counties, towns, villages across New York to put out resolutions supporting our Energy Choice Act. We have over 140 municipalities that have already done that, not just in my district, but around the state of New York, in endorsing that bill and sending those resolutions to Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand so they understand how important this is to all of their constituents, not just in Republican areas. So getting this heightened awareness and making sure that Senator Schumer knows that there's an awful lot of grassroots support here, and if he wants to stand in the way of this, he's got to do it at his own peril.
So, Nick, I have some statistics that I read a little earlier. According to a recent survey done in September of this year on behalf of National Grid, most New Yorkers see natural gas as both reliable, 84%, and affordable, 76%. That includes 81% of Democrats who believe it's reliable and 72% of Democrats who believe it's affordable. So New Yorkers as a whole want energy choice.
Of course they do, because they understand we live in a place where it gets really cold. And I want to thank Phil Nanula for hosting us when we did our press conference rolling this bill out, to the media here in Western New York as to why we were fighting the fight that we've been fighting. And he has helped amass grassroots support among the builders and all the different stakeholders at the table in this important fight. But there are added costs to building an electric home. I mean, it could add up to $50,000 to building a new build home. But what the real story is the continued operations of the home. You could be facing with the rate increases that we've seen because Kathy Hochul's Public Service Commission has rubber stamped her demand for higher rates so that she could build out for this electrification mandate. You're looking at probably $1,000 a month electric bill to heat a home and run the full operations of the home every single month. Now, how are people on a fixed income going to afford that? I mean, because if you think that they're going to stop on new build construction, I got a bridge to sell you.
No, this is the beginning. You're right.
The end. The retrofit comes after the fact. When they come and tell you can no longer use your natural gas furnace, or taking advantage of people when their furnace fails ultimately and they have to go get a new one, and then they're forced to get geothermal heat pumps, electric heat pumps, and it's only the special interests that are saying that these are virtuous for people in climates like ours. This is something that's going to increase the cost on the consumer.
What's going to happen is they're not going to allow you to buy any more gas appliances. It's all going to be phased out.
Absolutely. They're not going to stop at new home construction. They're far more aggressive than that. They want to phase out fossil fuels of all kinds, even though natural gas is the bridge energy to the future, to what's hopefully a more safe and effective nuclear future. But she said she wants a new nuclear power plant. I salute that. New York has to start looking towards that. But it's a 15-year ramp-up at minimum to get there. And it's at the cost of billions and billions of state dollars. So, it's not a realistic solution for today. It's something to aspire to for the future. Well, you don't tear down one bridge before you built the next one. Natural gas, we have hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of us of natural gas reserves, many in the ground in my district in our state that they won't let us harness. But Pennsylvania has transformed their economy by fracking and bringing that energy to market. Shale gas is there, it's plentiful, and it's cheap, and people can trust it. It will be there. The pipes come in, whether the electric's going or not. And it saved lives during the blizzard. That's all you have to understand, is it's there to keep people safe and warm in their homes in cold climate.
I can't understand how anybody here in Erie County, especially anybody in the city of Buffalo that lived through the past couple of years in the city of Buffalo, I don't understand how any elected official in the city of Buffalo could think this is a good idea. And just the opposite, every elected official in the city of Buffalo should be against it. So, Paul, you were giving us
every single one of them.
The percentage of energy that New York uses. It's minimal, right?
New York State accounts for 0.004% of the global carbon emission. So we are literally taking a wrecking ball to New York State's economy for a negligible carbon footprint that we're putting out on the world. And I'm, I got to tell you something. You want to save the environment? You have to make the United States economy strong. Because what's happening right now is the biggest global polluters are still China, India, and Russia. You need the American economy to be strong so we can leverage our power with those countries to force them to come to the table to have cleaner practices. And if you want to start and you want to make the U.S. economy strong, you need to start making New York's economy strong. And that's what Nick Langworthy is fighting for in Congress.
But as Nick pointed out, fracking, we have plenty of natural gas here in New York, and fracking has been proven to be not only clean, energy efficient, but as Nick pointed out, cheap.
Yeah, and we're losing the race to other states like Pennsylvania and Ohio. I mean, if you're a business that is expanding from, the Dakotas, Ohio, Virginia, even the northern states, why would you want to come set up shop in New York State when this is what you have to deal with? When your rates are higher, the energy is not as abundant. Why would you pick New York over Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina?
Energy is one of the main reasons that people do pick locations. Companies do pick locations. Cheap energy.
The governor can't have it both ways. She cannot say that she is for pro-economic development, she's for affordable energy, she is for affordable housing, and then continue to support a policy like this. I mean, Democrats cannot have it both ways. You have to pick a side.
The other aspect of this, guys, as it relates to what the governor's initiative is she's also moving to bring in these data centers and Micron and these big users of electricity. An average data center uses enough electricity to power over 800 homes. There's a national home builder in New York State, and I've been asked not to mention their name, but there's only one major one that people should know, and they have suspended their search for development sites around the Micron facility due to the electric or the gas ban. So this is a company saying, I'm out. I'm not going to do this if you're going to force this ban on new construction.
It's going to hurt a lot of home builders like Essex Homes. I had a conversation with Morano with Dave DiPaolo this week. And Dave said that certainly Phil is the most articulate when it comes to this issue. But they are looking at the same kind of problems that you've articulated. Morano is a huge home builder in this area and has a number of projects going. And, as you said, what do? They're in a hold pattern. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what the next house in that subdivision, if it can have gas or has to be electric. They don't know about taking on new subdivisions and what the costs will be. All of those unknowns are there, and yet we're 68 days away.
Ralph, speaking of Morano, they were also branched out to Rochester recently.
Yes.
And they were just forced to put a new development in without gas. The municipality would not allow them to put gas in now.
The municipality?
Yes, they would not allow them. That town took a stance that this is coming, and it would be not in their best interest to allow the development to go in with gas.
So it
only has electric.
So they put a subdivision in without gas to the subdivision.
Yes, Jim Morano outlined that at one of our board meetings recently. And short term, they were putting in, believe it or not, going backwards, propane tanks to run backup generators. But propane is also precluded going forward into January, so that would have to stop if nothing else changes.
So, Nick, this is the stuff we have in New York. This is the stuff we have in, that Kathy Hochul is putting forth. What do we do?
Well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's all I can do. But, I think all of us as Western New Yorkers need to hold the people that brought this on us accountable. I mean, our state legislators that voted for all of this, when they come home, they don't brag about it. This is something that was slid into the budget in the middle of the night 3 years ago, and now it's upon us. But they need to ask all of the people that supported this, all of those Democratic members of the state assembly and the state senate that blindly followed like sheep and kowtowed to the climate extremists, as to why did you do this and what are you going to do to help us? You're going to destroy the way of life of people in this area through your actions. They did it. They can reverse it. The governor needs to put a moratorium in place. She needs to punt it out into the future. I mean, this is not realistic in terms of practicality. The grid certainly can't handle it, and she's going to stifle any opportunity to grow Western New York. So I have to leave you now, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for having me back, but I will keep in regular touch with you and your listeners going forward.
Phil, I know you're the business guy, and you've articulated the business position with regard to all of this, but I've got to comment on why I think this is what's happening. What I believe is the Working Families Party, which originally started out as a union labor type party, has gone so far to the left that they're the ones who push these kinds of agendas, and especially this agenda. We've just spent over an hour and a half articulating how crazy this agenda is, to the point where, we've got the statistics. 74% of New Yorkers disagree with this policy, and yet, in my opinion now, because the Working Families Party, the far left party, has decided this is the right thing or the thing they want to push, and because too many Democrats are intimidated by that party or by that far left position, that's why we have this. Isn't that? Paul, tell me I'm wrong about this. This is the reason you've got to be careful. If someone has that Working Families line, you've got to know that they are for defunding police. They're for no jails. They're against correction officers and in favor of inmates. And this bill is driven by them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a reckoning happening on the left of this country in general, and I think that it has gotten to a place where democratic socialism isn't as scary as it used to be to the general public, because it's becoming commonplace. And honestly, what's happening, at least from my vantage point, is that working families, the Democratic Party, but mainly the working families, is actually flirting with communism as far as
no doubt about it.
Philosophically. I mean, if you want to step in.
I mean, voters need to understand, to Chairman Larigo's point, when Republican candidates go before Chairman Larigo and the Conservative Committee Executive Board, I mean, he's not going to endorse a candidate that doesn't believe in the policies of the conservative, fiscal responsibility, etc. The same thing holds true when the Democrats go before the Working Families Party. There's a platform that they represent, and these candidates have to pledge themselves to support the platform of the Working Families Party. Defund the police, like Chairman Larigo said.
There's a questionnaire they have to fill out in order to get that endorsement.
To be considered, Chairman. And then they have to sign it or pledge it to get their endorsement, to get their line. The Democrats are looking at that as just another line on the ballot, but they're giving away their soul to get that endorsement. And the voters need to understand that. In Amherst, our entire slate, thanks to Chairman Larigo, our entire Republican slate, Dan Gagliardo, Mary Dormer, John Traberton for the County Ledge, Christina Coyle-Lenz, we've all been endorsed by the Conservative Party. I did not allow our candidates to go and seek the Working Families Party. I said, this is what they represent, and that's not what Republican conservatives represent. And the voters need to understand, if you're voting for Sean Lavin in Amherst, he's been endorsed by the Working Families Party. He represents defund the police and all the other socialistic and communistic policies of the Working Families Party. That is not the type of people we want running Amherst.
Western New Yorkers throughout this entire Erie County and Niagara County and throughout this entire area, Western New Yorkers need to realize that if they see someone on the Working Families line, then that should negate a vote to that individual.
Absolutely.
That should absolutely negate a vote. We, again, at the beginning of this, the Working Families Party, which has a great name, Working Families, was the Labor Party. And we would accept people because there were certainly labor people who are conservative. But that has changed.
There's
changed.
nobody that would ever be considered by you, Chairman Lorigo, if they took the working families line for your party support.
We have a policy that's in effect that if you're taking that working families line, you're not going to get the conservative line. You can't be all things to all people. That just makes you, a terrible politician in our mind.
If you want to elect Zoran Mondani in Amherst, then vote for Sean Levin. That's what it's all about.
That's exactly right.
Mondani's got the same line in the city of New York, and so does Sean Lavin and the Democrats in the town of Amherst. They're Democrat working families candidates, and the Working Families Party does not represent the best interests of the residents and taxpayers in Amherst.
Throughout every single town in this county, throughout the city, every single town, municipality in the November election, when you go to vote, you look to see if that candidate has the working families line. If they do, that should tell you what those people are about. They went to that party, they filled out an application, they consented to agree to their platform, which is defunding the police.
And other socialistic policies.
Far socialistic. They're willing to call themselves socialist Democrats. I mean, in my lifetime, I've got 50 years of practicing law, so I'm an older guy at this point in time. 20 years ago, there wouldn't be any Democrat who would be willing to call themselves a socialistic Democrat. It just wouldn't have happened.
Especially here in Western New York.
And today, it's commonplace, and it's true of India Walton when she ran, and she was supported by Sean Ryan.
There you go.
Gentlemen, can I chime in here as a businessman?
Yep.
So you mentioned that earlier, Ralph. And I think one of the biggest things that frustrates me as a person that has for over 50 years committed to Western New York in businesses, various businesses. Number two, as a citizen and a taxpayer, extracting myself from the home building side. What appalls me the most is that this topic that we're talking about today was voted into law by the Senate and the Assembly and then signed by the governor without the public's comment, without the public's ability to chime in. It was, as we stated with the survey we conducted, it is not the majority of the opinion of Western New Yorkers to want this. If this was a standalone bill or if this was a referendum, it would not have passed.
It's the arrogance.
Just one other point, what that needs to show the voters coming up next year is remember this. Even if it's paused, remember the fact that it happened. And it can happen again.
You got the electrification issue, and I got to go back to the town of Amherst. I mean, these Democrats in Amherst and now across the state, and the assemblymen here, they're arrogant. They believe the voters aren't paying attention. How do you raise taxes in 1 year in Amherst, 11.4%? And then a week ago, the deputy supervisor, who's now trying to become supervisor, says, when asked by the Buffalo News, what about that 11.4% tax increase? You know what his answer was? It was in the news. I was shocked by it. Well, where the hell were you? Wake up. Voters need to wake up. This Working Families Party and the policies they represent and the candidates that they endorse who represent their platform do not deserve to be elected to office in this county, this state. Period.
I think what Phil is pointing out, that we have a gubernatorial election next year, and you get what you vote for.
That's the problem.
And Phil is pointing out that these kinds of things, especially this bill, which makes no sense to any of us, none, and makes no sense, by the way, to 74% of New Yorkers, yet is passed because the far left is able to drive these Democrats.
Voters need to wake up, and they need to wake up in 10 days. This is what's been going on. The Democrats are arrogant, and they shove it down our throats, and people aren't paying attention. Now we're, 68 days away from not being able to have natural gas in your homes? Wake up, voters.
Today is the first day of early voting. Today is the first day people can go to the polls. Today is the first day that we all need to understand our obligation to vote. And look, at the beginning of early voting, there was all of this about, well, Republicans only go on Election Day. We can't do that. We need to go out now. there are 38 locations across Erie County where you can go vote. And you can vote today, and we need to have Republicans, conservatives, independents, blanks, and those reasonable Democrats to go to the polls today. And again, when you vote, you can vote every day from now on to Election Day, except for the Sunday before Election Day. When you go to the polls, you look to see who you're voting for. And if that person has the working families line, that is not the person you want.
You know, Ralph, let's talk about early voting. This morning I was with the Republican National Committee co-chair, Casey Crosby, who was in town, was at the dinner last night.
Yes.
And she made a real good point. We need Republicans and conservatives to go and early vote because we're now moving to the next chapter of our campaign, and that is to get the vote out. And if you vote early, we can take your name off our list because we don't need to call you and badger you to get out to vote. You come off. That saves us money, and it saves us time. So we can spend our time calling those Republican conservative voters that have not gone out to get them out instead of calling you. We don't have to call you if you early vote because your name comes off our ledger. Early vote, Republicans, conservatives.
Phil, I greatly appreciate you being here today. I know that you've been involved in this thing heavily over the last, quite some time, actually. I appreciate, what your family has done. Your father, Savino, starting, being involved with TOPS from the very beginning. Your family has really shown public service and entrepreneurship. And you've continued that with Essex Homes. My house is a beautiful home. My wife loves that house. It's absolutely laid out fine. We were in it now for 5 years, not one single problem. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on today. Paul, same thing. I appreciate you being here today and to talk about this very, very important topic. So, look, I want to leave you with the fact that early voting is starting, and we need to go to the polls. We need to vote. We get what we vote for. So every citizen, every registered person in Erie County needs to go to the polls.